I thought I already had the perfect monitor. That was until this showed up. Last year, I was pretty sure that I found my endgame monitor. 32 inches, 4K, OLED, 240 Hz, an absolute beast. I even compared it to the QD-OLED version previously, and I still stuck with it. So when I got my hands on this new 27-inch panel, I figured, cool, it's just gonna be a smaller version of that. Well, not quite, because I did not expect this thing to be this good. It may just be the very best display that I have ever used. So there's actually two versions of this panel, the one that I have here and the XG27UCDM. They're offering the same panel, same resolution, and same refresh rate. The main difference is that the one that is the PG version comes with DisplayPort 2.1, while the Strix version that I have here, it's using just DisplayPort 1.4. Other than that, the image quality and feature set here is going to be identical. The specs on this thing, it's 240 Hz, it's QD-OLED Gen 4, it comes with DisplayPort 1.4, couple of HDMI ports, it does have a USB hub in it, and all of the normal goodness that you get from ASUS panels. So right out of the gate, this panel is smaller than what I am used to, having been on 32 inches for the past few years. But coming back to a 27-inch panel, especially at 4K, has really surprised me with how much sharper the text looked compared to what I've been used to on that 32-inch. Icons felt crisper, and there was a true window effect that I have not felt before. This all comes down to pixel density, and it's a really important thing when it comes to your displays. The XG27 here is 4K at 27 inches, which gives you about 163 pixels per inch. 32 inches at that same resolution sits around 140 pixels per inch. And to compare that to a 27-inch 1440p, well, that's only 109 pixels per inch. It is a massive jump in clarity with this screen. Now, since we touched on pixels per inch, for a really long time, everyone has said 27 inches, 1440p is the sweet spot. But with how powerful graphics cards have gotten over the last couple of years, I think that going to 4K is starting to make more sense for a lot of people. The question starts to become, do I go with a 27-inch screen or a 32-inch screen? And on paper, the 27-inch does have that higher pixel density, but here is something to keep in mind, and that is the distance. A 27-inch screen is about 23.5 inches wide. And if you're sitting about 24 inches back from that screen, you're getting about a 50 to 55 degree field of view. That's pretty ideal for having a focused vision, especially if you're playing competitive games. Now, a 32-inch screen is almost 28 inches wide, so to maintain that same FOV, naturally just have to move back farther, close to 29 or 30 inches away. That's where it starts to get a little murkier as far as which one you should choose, because the image at that distance starts to look exactly the same as how the 27-inch screen looks when it's closer to you. One of the biggest things that sets this panel apart, though, is the screen coating that's used, and it is a glossier screen. I want to touch just briefly on the glossy versus matte debate. I'm not going to go into tons of detail on it here. The glossy screens do just look better. The depth that you see on the image makes the screen look like a window, almost like there's a game world on the other side of it and you can reach into it and touch the things that you're seeing. So though the glossy screen looks amazing, it's not perfect and there are a few drawbacks. The first and most notable one is just the poor reflection handling. If you have any light sources in your room, they will reflect on the screen, and I find that that can be very distracting. The other thing, being a QD-OLED panel, is you do get those elevated black levels that you've seen on previous QD-OLEDs as well. Now, if you do want perfect black levels, regardless of the light in your room, then you may want to consider a WOLED panel instead. Aside from the coating and the pixel density, the other thing that makes this panel so incredible is the colors. Being a QD-OLED Gen 4, they are excellent. They're bright, they're vivid, they're honestly the best that I've ever seen. What makes it stand apart is specifically how bright those colors get. It's hard to convey how good this looks on camera, but I'm telling you, it's next level. The actual peak brightness on this is somewhere around 470 nits, which is much brighter than any other OLED that I have ever tested. This added brightness also translates into one of my favorite features on the panel, which is the shadow boost, as well as the FPS mode. I turn on the dynamic shadow boost on this panel, and it is a night and day difference with what you are able to see in game. Playing something like Escape from Tarkov, this is a total game changer, and these days I can't play without it. Recently, I've taken a look at some really fast panels. I've looked at that 600 Hertz Zowie TN panel, as well as the 480 Hertz panel from Sony. I think 240 Hertz is plenty. I have found that going with a 4K panel over 1440p and especially 1080p has given me extra detail in the scenes. So when I'm playing something like Escape from Tarkov and I'm tracking small targets, it's a lot easier to see them and pick them out on the 4K panel versus any of those other ones. So if you have the horsepower to run it, it's pretty sweet. I want to touch on burn-in real quick because over the last year, I've started to really not worry about it at all. There are OLED care features on this panel. I honestly recommend just turn them all off. The image looks better with them all off. I think if you're buying a panel of this caliber, you want the best image quality, I would turn those off. I've been running my panel for the last year that way, and I haven't had any issues. That being said, ASUS includes one killer feature on a lot of their newer OLED panels, and that is the proximity sensor. This completely eliminates the fear that I have of burn-in. As soon as I get up and walk away from the screen goes black. Nothing is going to be sitting static on the screen long enough to ever cause any kind of burn-in. I wouldn't buy anything other than ASUS specifically for that reason. Now, before we wrap this up, I just wanted to touch on something that I've seen a lot in a couple of my videos recently, and that is the comments of people just hating on OLED. I did want to show you a couple of comparisons of this panel next to one of the best LCD panels that you can buy, which is the LG 32GQ950B. And this is a top tier 4K nano IPS panel. It has great color and great brightness. And honestly, for a long time, it was my reference for what a sharp, vibrant monitor should look like. But side by side with OLED, the difference in contrast is wild. And the depth, especially in darker scenes, is something that LCD just cannot replicate at all. You can actually see into dark corners without having to crank up the gamma in game or washing out the image. Since there are no 32-inch Gen 4 QD-OLEDs, at least at the time that I'm making this video, this particular panel right here, it's honestly the one to beat. It's awesome. So yeah, this is the best monitor that I have ever used. Let me know what monitor you're currently running in the comments down below, and let me know on your thoughts if you think I should switch to this new 27-inch screen or if I should stick to my current 32. But thanks for watching. My name is Robbie. This has been EverTech, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.